Professor Stovall, I got one last question for this segment. I'm a parent. I'm an uncle. And I've talked to nieces and nephews. I go to public schools quite often. And even my own children, it's hard for me to explain to someone who is 10 or 15 or 20 about race, or the social construct of race, a class, and how you fit in the society as an African American in 2007, soon to be this will run in 2008 also, because things have changed, but things have stayed the same. And so, like I always talk to people, it's like me in my own life with my children and my nieces and nephews and those at home. How do you gain the world, if you will, as an African American? How can you be self-actualized as an African American in modern day society without losing your soul? How do you gain the world without losing your soul? Why give up your self-respect in the society? Because some of us have, I hate to use the term sell out or become homogenized, so we won't be marginalized. How do you do that balance? How do you play that game on a daily basis?
I think one of the things that is very practical and you can do it with young folks as young as 3. But this whole notion of developing a sense of self and history. So really asking this question, who are you? So this, how do you see yourself? What do you think the larger world has to say about you? What's correct? What's incorrect? Now, based on what's correct, what do we do? Based on what's incorrect, how do we correct those things? And how do we do that in a very practical sense? So really asking questions like, who am I in the world? Where do I live? What's the history of my neighborhood? Who's been here before me? How's this neighborhood shifted? What's happening in the neighborhood? What do we see every day? And do we have larger understandings of those things? So really looking at history as a context for our current situation, but not being stagnant in our current situation, but also actively engaging ways to change our own condition.
So you make young people think. And then most of our young people, of course, don't think. I mean, let's face it, because most of us, if we're on the lower end of the economic spectrum, we're just trying to survive. We're just trying to get through the day. Most of us will never get to your level of thinking. So how do we mix? And I'm going on. How do we mix that when you have? I'm trying to survive. I can't even think about the history and what's going to happen 10 years from now. I need something to eat. I need my rent paid. I need the heat on. Now, how do you
contextualize that? I mean, why is it that we're in a situation where we in a day to day? How do those things come into being? What is actually a utility bill? Who is a utility company? Who are they run by? Who are the people that what is a mortgage? What is a bank account? How do we actually and historically how have those places shifted for black folks? What did banking systems used to be? For black folks when they came here from the South? How are these places caught up? And then when it comes time for us to make these decisions, very simple decisions in terms of, what type of, if you're getting particular public aid, what are the constraints on that public aid? How does that actually work if you want to go to college? How does that actually work if you want to get a particular type of job? What stuff is out there for you to make real tangible decisions, about your day to day? So again, contextualize that, because that's the situation. I think that folks who are quote unquote intellectuals or whoever, they 2 checks away from it too.
True. And
we have to understand that. And because we don't, then we get a higher sense of ourselves, which is really false. So we really have to understand that this stuff that's happening on the block, you're 2 seconds away from it, if not already in it. So really being clear about that.
This segment, we're going to have another segment. This segment is over, but we're going to take a little break so I go get my dictionary so I can read what contextualize means, okay, in the proper context. Doctor, more to come. Watch the next segment, okay? You got to have a little fun. If you don't make people laugh, they're not going to watch it.